Something, well, I didn't make it too far into the video. First of all, I don't know the two people you were talking to, and I don't vouch for any, basically I don't vouch for too many people, but what I'm about is staying true to the teachings of Christ, you know. So obviously I have some issues with some of the things that were said. Uh, right off the bat, like whenever I hear that description of Jesus Christ in the revelation of Jesus Christ, that's my first. Whenever I hear that, I feel that's being intellectually dishonest, you know, and that's a big word for me. I just really kind of learning some words, and intellectually dishonest is when you know something's not right, but you don't admit to it because you know you're trying to prove a point. But if you're willing, I'd like to kind of discuss a lot of things that I see in the Hebrew Israelite movement
Yeah.
that doesn't line up with scripture.
All right,
So
address that first point then.
okay, so when I go over here to Revelation chapter 1, and this is so to me it's like in the New Testament I'm told to test everything and to hold fast that what is true, you know, and if we don't like if you start to see a couple things with red flags, then it's like you got to look in deeper. So right off the bat, that I don't see why people would make this such a big deal when it's clearly not saying what people are representing it to say. So starting in verse 14, it says, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Just in that one verse, you know, I look at the Greek and I look at even that word like, that's actually in the Greek, you know, and so when it is saying his head and his hairs were white like wool, what that's saying is the color was like wool. It was not saying his head was like wool, or his head was or his hairs were like wool, but that's how it's being explained. So should I
Okay.
go further, or you want to address
Now,
that?
so let's address that. Is sheep wool here white?
Is sheep hair? I think there's black sheep, but yeah, for the most part, yes, white sheep are white.
All right, let's look at a few sheep right quick. Let's see if it's white, like as snow. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Is that white as snow?
Well, it's white.
Is it
So,
white as snow?
well, that's a dirty looking sheep right there.
Okay,
I mean, that's wool on an animal. It's
right.
dirty, right? But like, have you seen a fleece, a wool fleece where people have cleaned it and it's amazingly white, you know? Like I'm
Is
not
it white
white.
as is it white as snow?
That picture you're showing me is not, but have you ever seen a fleece that is white like snow? You ever
I've seen
you
a
ever
I've
seen?
seen a I've seen a fleece that's white, but not white as snow.
Well, see, we're looking at a ram right there, like a male sheep, right?
Okay,
So we're not looking at wool. We're looking at an animal that has wool on it. So
right.
like
Ain't
when
that where
when
wool
when
comes from? Does wool
he didn't
come
he
from
didn't
sheep?
say he yeah, but he didn't say what is white like a sheep. He said it's white
White
like
like
wool.
wool. Okay,
Yeah, well
where else? What other?
he didn't say.
Where else do we get wool from?
So wool comes from sheep, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but wool is not a sheep. So wool is the hair that's on sheep. And
Right.
so like it's a common thing. That's what they make fabrics and even fleeces, you know, it's like a blanket. So um so what I'm getting at is, have you, just between me and you, have you ever seen wool, not on a
Of course I
sheep,
have. Of
but
course I
just
have.
like
That's a
wool?
common.
Yeah, but
fabric.
I don't mean like a dyed wool sweater. I mean like a fleece, you know, like where they have the wool that's still on the skin, but it's clean. It's
Right.
like it's white, man. It's white.
Is it white like snow?
It's white like this paper towel. It's white like yeah, it's white, man. It's really
Okay.
white. Like a polar bear white, you know?
Okay. So does the father have woolly hair?
The Father,
Mhm.
the creator of all things,
Yeah.
he doesn't have hair.
Okay. Well, I want you to deal with this scripture right here. This, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 9. It
Yes.
says, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the ancient of days did sit. Who's the ancient of days?
The
Is that
Ancient
the
of
father?
Days, um, it's it is obviously the creator,
Okay.
right?
So
And
right. So
but Jesus
hold on, hold
is
on,
the
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
Jesus
hold
is
on.
the
1 second,
image.
1 second, 1 second.
Okay, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
It says, I beheld till the throne were cast down, and the ancient of days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head, and the hair of his head like the pure wool.
Yes, exactly.
Like the pure wool. Does the father have hair like pure wool?
Is is talking. Okay, first of all, Jesus is the image of the
Right.
invisible God.
That's correct. And
Okay,
does
so
does
before
the
he was made
invisible
flesh,
God have hair of wool?
well, what I'm saying is Jesus is the image of
Right.
God.
The
So
image.
when
Right.
so what
Does
we're looking
so
at
I'm
the
asking
Ancient of
you, hold on.
Days.
I'm asking you, does the father have woolly hair?
No, what he
So
has is what
so what
you
does it
just
say?
read to me.
Uh-huh.
Let me, that's kind of small on my iPhone. Let me just look. That's Daniel
Okay.
7. Oh, perfect. Thank you, brother. So, and the hair of his head like pure wool. Okay, so now look at what is that? That's what I'm talking about. So he's not saying it's like a sheep. He's saying it's like pure wool, meaning it's clean. It's so that's